Welcome back to another Makeup Vanity Declutter. Today we're going to be focusing on blushes, bronzers, highlighters, and contours, all the fun things. I'm going to tell you exactly what I love about these products, hate about some of these products. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to get rid of, what I'm going to keep, all the good things. So let's get started. So I thought today we would start off with blush. So let's start off with a newer product in my collection. This is the Glamlight X Betty Boop Blush Duo. So I did actually review this entire Betty Boop collection in a dedicated video here on YouTube. I overall thought the collection was pretty fun, pretty cute. I was actually thoroughly impressed with this blush duo. So I actually did start, I don't know if you saw the video or not, but if you didn't, I actually started with the deeper shade of this blush because I was like, why not? And it was actually very intensely pigmented, which I was actually really shocked by, and I had to tone it down really quickly because I was afraid it was going to mess up my entire makeup look, but it didn't. I was able to blend it out and tone it down rather easily, but the shade that actually fit me best was this lighter shade over here, which isn't actually a surprise because I'm literally pasty white, Casper the Ghost white, so this obviously was the shade that I should have known was going to work best for me, but I was like, let's just try something different, let's try something new. I shouldn't have, but both shades are really, really beautiful. I have no reason to get rid of this duo. It's a beautiful formula. It worked very, very well. It sheared out very well. So if you needed to tone either of these down, you absolutely can, but you can also build them up if you need to. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous formula. Really love this. I'm definitely keeping this. Next up, we have the Ultra Mega Super Viral One Size Beauty Cheek Clapper Blush Trio. This is in the shade Attention Seeker. This was the very first One Size Cheek Clapper trio that I got. I love this. This works perfectly well. This is the perfect trio for those of you who are very pale like myself. The colors are very complementary, of course, to our skin tone. It's beautiful. It has 3 different textures in it. You have a beautiful shimmer. You have the beautiful highlighter down at the bottom. You have the powder blush here in the middle, and you have the more cream-based here at the top. Beautiful, beautiful formulas. They work very, very well in tandem. Great product. Not getting rid of this anytime soon. Next, we have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Juicy Cheeks Face Palette. So this was a product that a lot of people talked about when it was released by Blend Bunny Cosmetics because it was very new to their lineup as far as traditional products that they released. Because Blend Bunny Cosmetics, more so than not, is known for their eyeshadow palettes. Now, people were kind of conflicted when they saw this from what I was reading on social because the shades, because obviously there's a lot of shades in here that are not, you know, traditionally used with the yellows and the oranges when it comes to blush, obviously the purples. But if you really stop and look at it, this is a really inclusive palette, and that's super, super important to me, of course. If you followed me for more than 3 seconds, you know inclusivity among makeup products is extraordinarily important to me and my platform. So if you look at this, this palette is not made for me, particularly being very fair-skinned. This is going to be an exceptional palette for my deeper skin tone beauties out there because you have the more intensely rich pigmented shadows with like pulp down here at the bottom, mouth watering, you have ripe and sticky sweet. These deeper tones would be shades that I would apply to my deeper skin tone clients. It's going to look beautiful on those melanated queens out there. Now, for those of us who are on the paler skin tone side of things, it's not going to look great, but I will say if you're someone who likes to be more in the creative makeup side of things and you are on the pale side like myself, then yeah, go for it. There's virtually very few rules to makeup. Just because you are on the paler side of the skin tone spectrum doesn't mean you can't use these. Just traditionally speaking, you know, for me, if I was just going to do like traditional makeup, I'm not going to wear, you know, these more intense shades and pinks and purples, like, you know, I'm not going to wear that. It's not going to look great on me traditionally, but obviously there's a lot of people who like to be more adventurous and creative with their makeup, and I do see people that are going to wear those types of shades. So take all that as you will, but traditionally speaking, this isn't going to be a palette that's really made for me specifically, but I will keep this because it is a Blend Bunny product and I obviously want to support the brand as much as possible, and it is fun and you can do a lot of different things with these products other than just use them as they're intended. So I will keep this. Now I do want to jump into the other Blend Bunny blush palette. This is the Bare Cheeks palette because I really want to show you the comparison. So this is a palette that is going to be more so for my skin tone or other fair to light skin tones. So as you can see, there's a lot of other shades in here that are very, very different than what was just in the Juicy Cheeks palette. So there are shades in here that I would use on a traditional makeup look or my skin tone. So like Baby Girl would look very flattering on me. If I wanted to deepen it up a little bit, I could dip into Power Play here. You know, you could deepen it up a little bit more for just a different type of shade with Love Me. Now, obviously over here on the sides, you have Just a Touch and In the Buff. Those are not traditional blush shades, of course. You could use those for bronzers. But over here, obviously you have In Charge and Making Me Blush. People are really liking orange blush these days. So obviously you could use those. So there's a lot of options in here. But at the same time, there are shades in this palette specifically that you could use on deeper skin tones as well, traditionally speaking, such as Power Play, Striped, and Love Me. So there's a lot of options in here as well, of course, and you can use the orange shades as well. So there's a lot of versatility in just this palette alone for both, you know, lighter and fairer skin tones as well as deeper skin tones. So I really appreciate that too. So I'll of course be keeping this. Now, before we talk about this next blush palette, I do want to say full disclosure that most of my makeup products, I do a pretty good job at keeping the ones that I actually use like 99% of the time. There's a few that I keep just for like supportive reasons or nostalgic reasons, but the vast majority of like my complexion products, powder products, things like that, I keep because I actually use them on a day-to-day basis, or the majority of my, you know, makeup content. There's very few products that I have that I don't actually use. Some like eyeshadow palettes or liquid products or lips and stuff like that, you know, where I have a lot more of them come into my possession, can kind of get cluttered or extra, and those are the ones that I'll tend to throw away or whatnot. But a lot of products like blushes or bronzers, things like that, I don't really have a lot of extra because I don't really collect them, because I give away like 99% of my extra product, new product and PR, I always have. So if you're new here, hi, that's what I do. I like to give back to my community and other communities as much as I possibly can. So that's one of the things that I'm known for, is giving like 99.9% of my PR away to people as one, a thank you for their support, and two, because it's just nice to do, you know? So moving on. So this is the Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Blush Palette. This was, I would say, probably my original Holy Grail blush palette. This is one of my most used blush palettes, and you can see my most used shade in this is Pink Moon, obviously. It's just one of the most complementary blushes on my skin tone, and from time to time, I like to dip into Pink Moon and then a little bit of Stargaze down here at the bottom just to deepen it up a little bit. I've tried to dip into Twilight. It just doesn't look good on my skin tone. Spacey is far too dark for me, and then Gravity, it just doesn't look good on my skin. It looks a little bit too muddy. And then Soleil is just a nice little shimmer blush. From time to time, I get a little too textured and it just doesn't look great, so I just don't go in it too often, but I really love Pink Moon. I will not get rid of this anytime soon. This, for me, is just the perfect blush palette. I really love this. Next up is from Lottie London. This is their pH Color Changing Blush. So I loved this. Now, I'm not new to pH changing products. I've used many of them, different types, different forms, all the things. So this is a cream blush. This is beautiful. So I am actually going to swatch this just to show you. So it starts off as a black cream blush. Looks kind of purple pink on the finger. Really beautiful. I just tap this on with my finger on my cheek and it blends out really nicely. It is a beautiful color on the cheek. Now, while I prefer powder blushes, I do like this and I do use this from time to time. Now, this provides me a color that's obviously much richer, much deeper than what I've shown you that I like to use, but this does give me that more deeper tone, and I like it because, like I said, I do prefer more of a natural pink, just a light flush of pink with my blush, but when I want more of an intense moment with my blush from time to time, this is what I grab. It does stain though, so be careful. Like, obviously I just wiped this off on my pant leg, not with like a makeup remover, so it does stain a little bit, but with the proper makeup remover, it does come off, but you just gotta be careful. Next up, we have another one size blush. This is their new Cheek Clapper in Girly Pop. I love this. So this is definitely made with the intention of being primarily for deeper skin tones, but it definitely can be used on lighter to medium skin tones, of course. So I used this successfully and it looked great on me. So if you are on the lighter skin tone side of things, you can use this, just use it appropriately, use it sparingly, and blend it out as needed. You don't have to go in heavy-handed or else you're gonna look like a clown. So I've seen people on the internet play games with shades that are obviously geared towards deeper skin tones, and just because they're geared towards deeper skin tones, again, does not mean that you can't use them just because you're on the fairer sides. Just be appropriate with it and apply it correctly. Don't play games. That's all I'm saying. Don't be that person. You know the person I'm talking about. Don't be that person. So the formula, again, stunning. You have the beautiful shimmer down at the bottom, you have the powder in the middle, and you have the cream here at the top. Something you can also do if you are definitely in the medium to deeper skin tone category is if you want to apply the powder here at the middle and you want it to be even more rich, or you want it to be longer lasting, you can start off by applying the cream first, and then you can set it with the powder, and it's going to last a lot longer and last throughout the day, and it's going to be a bit more rich, like I said. And then you also have the shimmer, like I said. You can use this just as a traditional highlight, of course, and it all works together seamlessly. I'm going to keep this, like I said, for once in a while when I do like a bit more of a rich blush moment, I can use this. Like I said, I can also use the Lottie London one, but this is great. And then lastly for blush, we have the Sigma Blush Cheek Palette. This is my most non-used blush palette. I really don't actually know why I still have this in my collection. I got this in PR years ago, and as you can see, it's like not used. I feel like the reason I kept this was because since it is a cheek palette, even though it's a blush cheek palette, like there's really not any shades in here that I would use. Like I could use these two shades here, and in person they're a little bit more rich than they are showing up on camera, but like I just don't gravitate towards it because I got this at the same time that I got the Moon Prism blush palette, and I just always use the Moon Prism palette over this. None of these shades really, I don't know, excite me. I feel like more than anything is because even in the pans, they look really chalky, and they don't really show up chalky, but they look chalky, and the shimmer down here is just really boring. And like I could use these shades for bronzer, of course, but there's just really nothing about this that excites me. So I'm going to finally just throw this away. I'm done with it. Actually, I lied and I found two more blushes. So I have a liquid blush here. This is from the Makeup Revolution X The Simpsons collection. I don't really love a liquid blush, but I've used this a couple times and it's okay. It's kind of difficult to blend out. It dries down very quickly. Whoa, it dries down very quickly. And for that alone, well, plus the fact that this is heavily expired, but for those two reasons alone, we're tossing this. Now, actually, last but not least, we have the CXC Beauty Blush. This is in the shade Juliet. This is a beautiful blush. I've used this twice now. It doesn't look like it because I'm very gentle with my makeup, especially powder products, because I want them to look nice. But I've used this twice now. It applies and blends very nicely. It's a beautiful, subtle coral pink. Looks really nice on my skin tone. This also would be a perfect shade for a medium skin tone for sure. Gorgeous, definitely not getting rid of this. Plus, again, this is from an indie brand, and I know the owners in real life. They're amazing people, so we're absolutely keeping this. Next, we're gonna move on to bronzers and contouring, and then we're gonna end with highlighters, because highlighters we're gonna save for last because those are more exciting. So we're gonna start off with another Makeup Revolution X The Simpsons product. This is a liquid bronzer, again, for the exact same reasons as the liquid blush. This dries down far too quick before you can actually start blending it out, and it's really difficult to blend out. This shade itself was actually really nice on my skin tone, and it didn't look muddy, but like I said, it was really difficult to blend, and it's expired, so regardless, it has to be thrown away. For me, I care more about expirations when it comes to liquid and cream products than I do powder products, so just keep that in mind. Next, we have the One Size Beauty Made for Shade Bronze and Sculpt Trio. This is the Light Trio. So I overall thought this was a decent product when I used it. I just feel like it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't excite me as much now, and I don't find myself grabbing it. I feel like even though this was their lightest shade, I am so pale white, Casper white, translucent. Like I am literally whiter than this background board right here, that even this is too dark for me, which is such a problem to have, I know, but I don't gravitate towards it. I just don't. Like, I'm gonna keep it just in case, because now that I'm back in Florida, I expect to get a little bit of sunlight, even though I try my best to not go out in the sun. I feel like I'll get a little bit of a tan here, so I will probably be able to successfully use this at some point without it looking too muddy and too dark on me, so I will keep it. The formula is good. It is a good formula. One Size Beauty has really been successfully coming out with products this last year or two as far as formulation is concerned, so I'm going to keep this for those reasons alone. And I really love the component. That red is amazing. But the only thing I don't like is how much it shows fingerprints. Don't love that. I have to constantly keep cleaning it just for it to look nice, but I'll keep it. Next, we have the Morphe Bronze Show Bronzer. This is a pressed bronzer in the shade Bronze Vibes. This was a decent bronzer. I want you to look at that up close. This is the perfect example of when a bronzer is expired, when a powder product, I should say, is expired. Now, I've used this more than a few times. This was my bronzer that I would take with me a lot of times when I would travel. I know I took this one to Canada specifically. Does a great job. Formula's great. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever, but this is very expired, so unfortunately, she's gotta go. Next up, we have two bronzers from Fenty Beauty. These are my holy grail all-time favorite bronzers. These are their Sunstalker bronzers. We have the shade Into Sun and Shady Biz. So back in my tan days, I would use the shade Shady Biz just because it's a bit deeper. You can see I got a lot of use out of it, a lot of love out of it. I really love this. I'm definitely gonna keep this, like I said, in case I get a little bit of sun here living in Florida again. But my actual go-to shade now is, what is it, Into Sun. It's much lighter, so it's beautiful. And as you can see, this is also kind of gearing towards being more of a neutral bronzer, which is a little bit of an oxymoron, but it is a bit more neutral. So I like that. And as you can see, like I said, this is much more toned down than this. So this just really gives you that nice bit of warmth, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't look muddy. It doesn't look too overwhelming. So for me, this is the perfect shade. And as you can see, all the way around. It gets heavily, heavily used. It is the perfect bronzer. The formula is very, very nice. It's very soft. It's easily blendable. It's absolutely perfect. Absolutely love it. No complaints whatsoever. Again, this is one of those products where I wish I had like a lifetime supply of it. This goes with me anytime I travel with makeup and I need to apply makeup. This goes with me, so I will never get rid of these. Next is an e.l.f. bronzer. I don't even know what this is actually called. Oh wait, just kidding. It says Forever Sun Kissed, but I don't know what the actual product is called. That's just the shade. I don't recall actually liking this. I can't even open it. Oh my God. I don't even, oh my God. Hello? Jesus. So obviously it's been used. I just don't know the last time I actually used it, just because it's not one that I gravitate towards. I have so many other ones that are actually really, really good. I really don't even have an opinion on this because it's been so long since I've used it. So I'm just going to get rid of it because it was just sitting in the back of my drawer all alone and sad. Bye. Next up, we have another palette from Sigma Beauty. This is their Sculpt Highlight and Contour palette. This is just a super boring palette to me. Like the tones in it are kind of meh. Like there's nothing exciting about this. The highlighter shades are very boring. The contouring and bronzing shades at the bottom are very boring. Like they're just very chalky. Again, don't know why this has been in my collection for so long. It's been years, so it's just gotta go. Last up for bronzers, this is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. This is in the shade 01 Sunlight. Again, my go-to bronzer is the Fenty bronzer. It's the one I grab 100% of the time. For some reason, if I'm in a pinch and don't have that on me, which I don't know why I wouldn't, I'll grab this bronzer. It's a great bronzer, but like I said, I 99% of the time grab my Fenty Beauty bronzer, but there's nothing wrong with this bronzer whatsoever, which is why I still have it. It's gotten a lot of love. It's the indents, the designs in it are almost completely been worn down. The gold trim around the sides have been worn down and scuffed up so much from my brushes and the handles because I've used it so much, because this was my go-to bronzer before I started using the Fenty Beauty bronzer. I feel like I should get rid of it because it's definitely extremely old. This has a 12-month after opening period, and I've had this for probably 3 or 4 years at this point. Alrighty, let's move on to some highlighters because I feel like highlighters is everyone's favorite. So we are actually going to start off with probably the oldest highlighters. Actually, they are the oldest highlighters in my collection. So these are from Makeup Geek. These are, I don't even know if I can see the names. Let me show you up close. So I wrote the names of these highlighters in Sharpie 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. I can't even read them, and I don't even know what they say because it's rubbed off from 5 years ago, so I don't know what they're called anymore. So unfortunately, Makeup Geek, as I'm sure you all know, is out of business, but I still have these highlighters for 2 reasons. One, they're great highlighters. I can probably still use them. I'm sure it's not gonna hurt me. They're powder and they're highlighters. And I'm a clean person, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna keep these regardless. But the second reason is because I have a lot of memories with Makeup Geek, but more than anything is, one, Makeup Geek was the first brand to kind of take a chance on me as a small creator back in the day. They were the first brand to give me an affiliate code. They were the first brand where I made any money from them. They were the first brand to feature me on their website for one of their eyeshadows. They were the first brand to feature me on their website for a mascara and lash. So I owe them a lot, and Marlene is an incredible person. So I love Marlena to death. She's very inspirational to me. So I have a lot of memories when it comes to Makeup Geek and a lot of just nostalgic things. So I keep these for a lot of reasons. A lot of my Makeup Geek products, I should say, I keep for a lot of reasons. So we're keeping these. Next up, we have a highlighter from Lottie London. This is in the shade Diamond Bounce. This is their illuminating highlighter, which aren't all highlighters illuminating. Yeah, so it's kind of a dumb name. This I tried. I did a first impressions on it, and it was mind-boggling. I don't know if I've ever tried a highlighter that was so blinding when I first used it. I mean, it's literally like powdered diamonds on your face. It's absolutely incredible. It's so crazy how blinding this was. I definitely want to do another video and show everybody, but it's on all my platforms somewhere. It was crazy. I was doing a video about affordable makeup. I did a full face of like affordable makeup. I do videos like that all the time, of course. My platforms are all about affordable products and whatnot primarily, but this was just, it was just so crazy how blinding this was. So if you've never tried one of their Diamond Bounce highlighters, definitely do it. This is in the shade Frosted, I'm sorry. The Diamond Bounce is the type of highlighter. It's in the shade Frosted, but it's absolutely incredible. It's so crazy. Next up is from Jacqueline Cosmetics. This is their highlighter in the shade Spark. I've used it quite a few times, and I've really tried to like this. I just feel like it just genuinely does not show up on my skin tone, at least. It just doesn't look good. I don't know what it is. It just does not show up on me. Maybe it's just really not meant for me, but I'm tired of giving it all these tries. It just doesn't work for me. I've tried setting sprays when applying it. I've tried a finger, I've tried different types of brushes. It just doesn't work well for me. Just maybe it's just not for me. So I'm just going to throw this away finally. Next up, we have the Luminescence Highlighter Palette from CXC Beauty, which again, CXC Beauty is an incredible indie brand. This is a beautiful highlighter palette. There's 6 different shades in here. So you have shades that are beautiful for lighter to medium skin tones, as well as highlighter shades that are perfect for medium to deep skin tones. The shades that I typically go for are the white down here at the bottom, the pink here at the top, and this kind of champagne gold right here. Obviously this deep gold here would not look great on me. The medium gold would not look good on me, and this kind of coppery pink would not look too great on me. But overall the formula is very buttery smooth. They are very reflective. They look beautiful, beautiful, beautiful on the skin. So I will of course be keeping this. Next we have the Sigma Glow Kissed Highlighter Palette. As you can see, I've used this. You can see all the little indents on all of these. I've used all 6 of these shades many times. I just stopped using it when I moved on to other highlighter palettes. It just doesn't really excite me. This was just like one of the first highlighter palettes that I had, which is why I used it so much. I just basically used it out of necessity because it was, again, one of the few that I had. I don't know. It kind of bores me, and it's super old, and I do not gravitate towards it and grab it whatsoever anymore. I have far too many much better highlighters now. So for those reasons, we're moving on. And last but most certainly not least, we have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Noctilucent Highlighter Palette. And if you all have been on my channel for more than a few days, you would know that this is my holy grail, absolute go-to highlighter palette. So it is a little bit messy because the formula is rather soft and it is very, very, very glittery. So this is much different than traditional highlighter formulas. So it's very soft, like I said. So it kind of has a lot of fallout, which, I mean, it is what it is, not the end of the world. So when you're applying this, you're going to get the most reflective highlight. So the only bad thing about this is it's kind of really hard to show up on camera with all these studio lights, but the colors in the palette are actually very, very vibrant. So you have more of like a pinky copper up here, and I'm going to keep moving it around so you can kind of hopefully see all the different shifts. But you have a pinky copper up here. You have more of a yellow kind of pink here in the middle. This one actually has a pink purple shift to it. This one is a beautiful kind of a neon yellow. Down here is more of a mint green, and this one is more of a purple blue. Like I said, it's very, very hard with the light. So I know you're not really able to see. I mean, it's kind of a bummer. If I remember, I'll throw in a photo so you can actually see the colors of what it's supposed to look like in person. But the formula is amazing. It's super glittery. It looks incredible on the skin, and it shows up so well in person. And most times on camera, it shows up like on my skin very, very well. So I will absolutely not get rid of this anytime soon. That's all I have in today's makeup declutter video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up down below. Don't forget to click that big red subscribe button so you can join my YouTube family, and I'll see you guys in the next one.